back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. For today's sponsored show, I'm excited to welcome back Traci Connell, interior designer, business coach, leader of the Gloss, and a valued LuAnn University instructor. Traci has appeared on the show 3 times before in episodes 525, 554, and 909, discussing wealth and money mindset, how to buy wholesale furniture for profit, and how to bounce back from setbacks and use them to fuel your business. So be sure to check out those episodes as well. Traci's free online community, The Gloss, serves as a space for interior designers to ask questions, connect with each other, and learn collectively to grow their individual businesses. She also runs a paid program called The Confidential that gives you mentorship, guidance, and the tools you need to overcome the mindset holding you back from leveling up. And on top of all of that, Traci is on the cusp of launching a very new offering, the 7-Figure Speakeasy Mastermind. Today, she joins us to talk about her new mastermind, to walk us through her framework for calculating risks in your business, and to help you discover what's holding you back from taking those risks, the kind of risks that ensure that your business moves forward. I'm delighted to welcome Traci once again. Hey, Traci, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business again.
Hi, LuAnn. I'm so glad to be back.
Yeah. So what's interesting, Traci, is I always love you. You're just always thinking. You're always, hey, Lou, I got this new thing. Hey, Lou, guess what I figured out now? And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I know why you do it, because you are always personally up-leveling yourself as a business owner, as the person who runs your company, as the CEO, as a leader, and now also with the Gloss. You know, you are intentionally every single week showing up and teaching other designers how to do this. And so your latest, greatest teaching tool for us is your new framework called RISK. So set the table for the where this came from, why it's necessary, and then let's learn all about it.
Yes, let's learn all about it. It's so interesting. A lot of you, I have been on the podcast before, and I've talked about my journey as an interior designer and growing a firm, and then really transpiring into a coach. I was a teacher. That's my degree is in education, but sometimes went a little later in life, you decide what your true passion is. And yes, I love being a designer, but as LuAnn mentioned, I just think I was made for more. I can't let it go. And so when I started the coaching platform, and that's clicking along, honestly, the interaction with all the designers in my platform, it's the Gloss for Interior Designers, it's the Business Glossary, as well as like all of them I see in the Facebook group and at events, all the needs that I thought we needed as an industry, they've changed. They've changed. It's a little less about how much did you charge for that new construction? What's your profit margin on? Like, that's the tactical stuff. That when I look back as when I was going through like rapid growth, I was thinking it was, well, if I only knew what margin she was charging, and if I only knew how to condense my process, then I'm going to get all my time back and I'm going to grow my profits. And it doesn't work like that.
Right. So what it is you're coming to with this exploration of now really intentionally teaching other interior designers through the gloss, it sounds like to me where you're going is you're pulling back. Yes, it was helpful to know, to
Yes.
have the curtain pulled back. What do you charge and how do you charge and what are your services and how do you structure your business? That's been helpful, but it sounds like you're learning the actual piece is deeper.
Yes, it is deeper. And again, it goes back to reflection of, when I was probably, I don't know, at this point, like 500,000 like revenue, and I was ramping up to 1 million, and then, and it was like, all the questions I asked, I had a lot of doubt. I was crowdsourcing for approval from people. I didn't trust myself because I kept asking, like, I was, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I make the wrong decision? And where I was in my life at the moment, there wasn't an extra dollar to go make the wrong decision. And so I look back at that time now and how I did it. And it was based on a set of money rules. And everybody listen to the podcast. We all have our own set of money rules. And what we think about money, are you in a scarcity mindset? Do you think, is your mindset around buying nice luxury purchases, is that good or bad? And I look back at that and I was like, if I hadn't broken my own money rule, then I wouldn't have grown my firm to a point where I'm able to go back and give back to the design community.
What did you discover was your money rule, and how did you discover it? And then we'll get how you broke it.
Yeah, the way I looked at money, and again, this is a certain time and period in my life.
Right.
The money was scarce. Every single decision, like I said, I had to ask a lot of people, and I was going to run out of money. I mean, I had to, support the family at this point. And so, but what happened was I had to reframe that rule. I had to break the rule and I had to reframe the risk just to break free of it, because all the head trash was between my own ears. It wasn't anybody else.
Right.
It wasn't anybody else, but I was a rule follower. I'm not going to break the rules. But I had to. It's so interesting because what lies on the other end of breaking rules is opportunity. And there's so much of it for us.
Yeah. The thing is that I just want to spend a few moments on the realization that you had is at a particular place in time while running a successful business, you're overriding. When we say your money rule, we mean your overriding belief about money is that it's scarce and that I got to worry if I'm going to pay the bills. And of course, any one of us that knows you knows that as a single mother of 3 kids, like, this is a legit thing. It's not like, hey, if I don't make it, the hubby's going to have the mortgage covered this month, or my partner is, or I don't have children, I can just do without. And so it's really taking a moment to sit in. We're not saying that every time you showed up somewhere, you're like, oh my God, I'm broke, I'm dying, what's going to happen? It was just this, it's almost like a filter by which we make decisions. Our money mindset belief becomes a filter by which we consciously and unconsciously make decisions. That's, I think, what you're expressing, right?
Yes, it is. It's interesting because the decisions that I was making, to invest in myself and grow my firm, the objection was not the money. It was my mindset around the money. And as I work with designers, it's so interesting that there's so much just talk about how much this costs, how much this doesn't cost. And I think that we're getting it wrong. I think that we're making decisions based on investments and growth in our firm. I mean, there's a couple of factors we need to consider, but there are objections in our own way, right?
Yeah.
That is inside our own head. We are the objection.
Yeah. It's funny because I was just recently having a conversation with someone who was considering doing the chairman of the board program with me.
Mhm.
And I ask a lot of questions when you first get on. You remember we did
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions. It's like, hi, how are you? And then I'm asking, because I want to get all the information, right? And really get a picture of if I think I can help the person. Because there's no sense me telling you about chairman of the board if I'm like, I'm not your girl, right?
Right.
But the thing was, during the process of just sharing the responses to her questions, one of the things that she said, which I commend, but it tells a lot about the money story is, and that I've been in business X amount of years, I want to say 10, I don't recall off the top of my head, and I've been debt free the entire time. And it was
Mm-hmm.
so funny because it's not relevant to whether she's a good designer, a bad designer, a good business person, or a bad business person. It's literally what you're talking about. It's only relevant to her perspective. And what
Mm-hmm.
was interesting was coming from my perspective, having stood side by side to Vin for 40 years and knowing that we regularly went into debt to take the business to the next level. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, my observation was, isn't that interesting that in her perspective, that is a plus. That is a good on you. And it is a good on you. But it revealed to me that it might be somebody that could have been further in their business if they had a perspective of, with calculated
Mm-hmm.
risk and with informed decisions, things can happen when you spend money to make money, right? And so that's a
Exactly.
perfect example
Yeah.
of the money rule. The money rule is, I don't have debt in my business, which
Mm-hmm.
Nigara would be like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't think we've ever not had debt in our business, right? I mean, and the thing is, it's different too, right? When you have a business where you need a truck and you need
Right.
tools, you're automatically in debt. The truck is
Absolutely.
50 grand, for crying out loud. Like, who's draining their checkbook for that, right? So
Exactly. To
you
run
go
it.
get a line of credit, you go get a credit card, you go get a
Yep.
loan from the bank, but it's the managing of the debt. And
Mm-hmm.
somebody like Vinny, who is
Mm-hmm.
very comfortable and knows that he's going to be a good steward of that management of the money, he doesn't get a feather on his cap for saying, I'm debt free, right? It's just different mindset. That's all it is.
That it really is, because I think I floated to a little bit of that mindset too. Because again, I was just so passionate about not being in that position, to the point where it's drastically the other side,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, of course we have. Well, I'm just thinking about business. Of course, you business debt, but it's paid off. But then getting in the mindset like you have, and a lot of designers don't have this. What are you going to do if things get bad? You're just going to go make more money, right? You're just going to, but it's not the easiest thing to do. I mean,
Right.
there's ways to do that. But if
Yeah.
you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone and make that first step,
Yeah.
then right, you're just gonna stay flat. And that's why I feel like a lot of designers that are in our programs, that's where they're sitting right now. And so I'm super excited to get them ramped up just to think differently, right?
Yeah. So now you overcame your
Mm-hmm.
money trash talk, head talk,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But now when you think about it and you walk others through it, you use it, you do it via this risk framework.
Yes.
So talk
Yes.
about that. So the R is reframe mistakes as learning opportunities. Well, this is me all day long. I mean, you've had me at hello on
Right.
this.
Because I mean, like I said, but there were a lot of mistakes that were going on in my life about 10 years ago. And you never saw this coming. But the mistakes that were happening in my personal life, and then in our businesses, we make mistakes every single day. While I was wallowing in my bigger personal mistake, I was stuck, and I talk about a lot that I was stuck and I couldn't move forward. But when I think about those mistakes and how I have learned from personally, professionally, and the opportunities that came from them just happening to me, it is such a a win-win, right?
Yeah.
But that's all like me looking at it in a different way.
Yeah.
And so that's what, all of this is about. I made big moves when I was, reaching $1 million in revenue, right? I had a lot of the same head trash as everybody else, but I had to take the leap and I had to break the mindset in order to move forward. And that's just reframing the risk, taking the mistakes, turning them into gold,
Yeah.
and just thinking about those big opportunities that lie ahead.
Yeah. I have to say, I mean, this is just so core to me. I've said it a couple of times on the show. I remember one time someone reached out to me and they were writing a book about the industry and about business in the industry, and they wanted to get a quote. And they asked me to, answer the question, tell me about a failure and how you overcame it.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally, like, I just stared at it and stared at it. And I was like, well, what was a failure? Like, what was a failure? And I'm like, LuAnn, this is ridiculous. Of
Look at
course you
you.
failed. You know what I mean? Like, and so like I spent a couple of days going, right? And so then I literally said to Vinny one night, I just looked at him. We were sitting there getting ready, sitting at the bar, having dinner, right? I said to him, if I said to you, tell me about a failure you had one time in your career, what would you pick? And this is why we're so born to be together. He looks at me and goes, I don't think I have any failures.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, and this is the thing. It's like, and I just looked at him. I'm like, right? Like this, right? And so then, like, as we're talking about it, it's just because we are willing to go from the immediate pain and go right to, what am I learning from this? And then the pain is in the rearview mirror. And it's like, to me, it's like childbirth. Like, that pain is brutal. But a second later, you're like that baby. That's so great. Okay, fine. Right? Like,
you forget.
Yeah. And so I love that your first part of the framework is reframe mistakes as learning opportunities, because I do think it's a very positive mechanism for, like, you guys know what I say on the show all the time, wind it back to, well, you could have done something different. Don't just wind it to where somebody else, that person didn't this. No, bring it all the way to where, and then that is how a mistake is not a mistake. It's a lesson and an opportunity. So,
well, yes. And what you said is looking inward. So a lot of times we blame. We look elsewhere. But by looking inward, you're going to find all the answers. You're going to find the answers.
100%. I love it. And so then I is invest in yourself and your business.
Yes.
So the thing is here, going from you having the scarcity mindset. So first you exist in it. Then there's an aha that's the mindset. And, maybe that's like a nudgy part that's holding me back. Where did that guy, I feel like from early on, somehow though, push through the scarcity and did invest in putting yourself in rooms with people who you aspire to be like, in other words, because otherwise we don't always come to this observation by ourselves.
Right.
So how did you come to it?
Right. So at that point I knew that, and I said before, I was stuck. So I knew that I had to invest in something. And that's just me. I am a learner by nature. I want to improve like crazy. And so I had to take a chunk of the money that I had, and I invested in a business coach. I invested in, some learning opportunities and events that were in different cities through IDS, ASID, but I had to invest. And the way that I found the success was really in that higher level, kind of that mentorship, because having that person to kind of bounce ideas off of, it just opened the doors for me to kind of take that leap. Yeah. So this is, again, this was like the second part of the growth, was investing in myself and in my business in order to take larger leaps.
Yeah. I think that, it's you know what? It's simply, for some people, it could be investing in therapy. Right?
Oh, sure.
I mean, it doesn't always have to be business, but the thing is, often when it's related to money, it does help because a therapist can help you work through, discover how come you have the scarcity mindset.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a single mom with 3 kids and I have no safety net. There's
That's a good
there's
one.
a reason. Thanks for that reason. And now what do I do? Right. But the thing is, I think, when you have the opportunity to be part of like the gloss, and they not only get your mentorship, but they get the mentorship of the peers, because here's the thing, somebody sitting next to you could be doing 200,000 and you're doing 800,000, but they don't have a scarcity mindset. Right. And so it's like, we all are just a conglomeration of all of our experiences. And it is that interaction in group settings that you provide where you do get those moments. I didn't think about it that way. And then that is, if you take that to heart, that is the beginning of your self-exploration, right?
Absolutely. And I put myself in those rooms. And, even on some of the coaching calls we have, some of the designers, they don't ask questions, they don't interact, because one of them spoke out privately and said she was intimidated. And I was like, no, I don't want this happening.
Opposite of what you're trying to do.
Exactly opposite. So we had to work through that a little bit, because that's not the answer. Maybe I felt a little bit of that when I did put myself in the room. I invested also into EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. And I mean, this was hilarious because it was mostly, the majority were males.
Right.
The majority, were founders, CEOs of their companies, and they were doing millions and millions of dollars. They were talking about, things like, I had no, EBITDA, and, and so, what happened was I learned.
And a good place to network for my business, by the way.
Right? And none of them were interior designers. And I was like, okay, I feel a little small, but what I received from putting myself out there and being a sponge, I mean, that's why, one of the reasons I'm here today.
Yeah.
I got out of my comfort zone. I went and did it.
Yeah.
And that's what, we got to take that first step.
Yeah. And I think that's a great thing to make note there, is that you might go into a development situation like the gloss or something else and know that you have a gap. Maybe you know that you have a scarcity mindset or a blah, blah, blah. You might enter and not know. Okay. And you might discover it while you're there and go, that's the aha that I needed to unlock things. But I love the idea of being in an environment where, when you get the knowledge, that you're in a safe place to explore it. Exactly. And say, what does this look like? How would I get past it? Is anybody else experiencing this? Yes. Because that's where the magic happens, right?
It is. That's where the little gold nuggets, they're just dropped in front of you. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So then S is set yourself apart.
Right. When I'm looking, at this framework right now, we're talking about it, and risk always feels like, it just sounds like a dirty word, like a really scary word. So when I think about, RIS, S, set yourself apart, we talk about this a lot, and what makes you different, investing in, and again, getting in your own head as to why, what's your special sauce. We won't go into this a whole lot, but the whole niche factor. So when I was growing and I was reframing, I was learning from my mistakes, I invested in coaching, mentorships, masterminds. But during that phase, I did develop what made me different than everybody else in the room, which was funny. I tell this a lot, but back then, again, like 10 years ago, this whole livable luxury thing wasn't a thing.
Right.
Now everything is like a durable, everywhere. And so that was my thing. And I realized it was what set me apart, because I was passionate about very durable items, because I didn't want the client being upset with me. I didn't want them yelling at me. I didn't want them calling me. I couldn't take it. I had so much turmoil going on. I'm like, if I get if I deliver a table and the next morning they're calling me with a water ring, like, I will lose my mind and cry for days. Like, that is why I developed this.
It really wasn't because of anything other than self-preservation.
Isn't that bizarre? Because a lot of designers are like, oh, well, I'm not good at that. And I don't love that. Well, I was passionate about people not screaming to me.
Here, I always thought it came from
Right.
having the 3 kids. And I'm like, look, the lady is a luxurious lady. If anybody's ever met her, she's always dressed to the nines. She's absolutely stunning. And I'm thinking her house and her home is probably the same way, but she's like, okay, there's actual humans that live here and it needs to look beautiful, but actually have the humans. I always just imagined that was why you did Livable Luxury.
But that is true. It stemmed into that, which is so bizarre, right?
Yeah.
That one little idea that came from something, I wasn't passionate about, vinyl bar stools, but the whole idea, so I made it into a big brand. I call it Ease of Glamour. It's luxurious, it's livable. But at that moment, I had to set myself apart in order to become the expert and specialized and even, receive, higher design fees because of it.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. That's so good. Yep. All the years I know you, I never knew that story. Don't yell at me about the water rings. I'm going to get the one table that will never show a water ring.
Everything is like seriously bulletproof now. If you get it from TCI.
That's awesome.
Don't call me.
That's it. And then K for risk is know your numbers, of course. Like you have me at hello at all of these.
Yeah, I mean,
can't escape it, right? Come on.
You just can't escape it. And because, again, not only did I invest in all the mastermind, the mentorship, the coaching, I also invested in a fractional CFO. It's like a big, we're talking about it now, but I started with my fractional CFO in 2014. And so,
wow, yeah, you were ahead.
We all know that fractionalist, she works for other companies as well, but she has been analyzing my numbers since 2014. And I can see month by month by month, by year, what's happening. Yeah. I can see the growth. I can see, by sales category, I can see that I can make decisions on hiring or really, I mean, can I afford to add another income stream to my line of business? So knowing the numbers, it's such a, what's like a taboo subject with designers, and I hate it. Right. Because I talk about it and I teach it a lot in like our flagship, the Confidential. It's a whole pillar on it because I'm so passionate about it, because I want you to take calculated risk. And to me, one of the 3 components on doing that is having time, having money, and having a team, having people.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that
look,
mistake too.
There's what it is we've talked about it a lot over the years on the show. I think that we all recognize that when someone resists learning their numbers, it's based in fear. It's based in insecurity. It's based in uncertainty. And it's almost like the thing about it is what it's like when you procrastinate on something and you push it down the corner all day long. And then you finally are under deadline and you do it. And it takes you like 12 minutes. And you're like, geez, I wasted 90 hours, thinking about not doing it. Yeah. And in 12 minutes, I finished it, right? Yep. And the thing is, that's what it is about the numbers. Mm-hmm. It's the fear, the insecurity, the doubt, the feeling like you're not on solid ground. But the second you do it, it's like, it's freedom. It's freedom, power, it's knowledge. And you know what I love? As much as I'm a dummy with math, okay, like we all know I can't do it on my head fast and all that. The thing about what I love is it is just numbers. So once you learn how the numbers go and what they do and all the thing, have a calculator with you. It's easy then. It's like, it doesn't change. You don't look at your P&L one day and go, oh my God, I can't understand it today. What's going on? It's like once you learn it, you learn it. It's like, it doesn't change, right?
And it's the awareness of understanding what you're seeing. And by that awareness gives you power to take those calculated risks in order to grow. If you don't have that, you're going to sit stagnant. I do believe, right?
Yes.
Or put yourself in debt.
Yes.
So to me, no,
Unknowingly and
unknowingly.
definitely at risk. Yes.
Exactly. Those objections to money are stifling you, and it's like I feel like a lot of designers, including myself, we get bottlenecked by that procrastination. But I feel like knowing where I am in my numbers, it gives me the power to go, the power, the passion, the fuel to go get a couple extra jobs,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Just to
yes.
get to a number. But if I didn't know, then do you think we would go just like
No.
sales quota, right? If you don't know, you're not going to
Yep,
go.
I know. It's so true, and we see it borne out in when you manage sales teams. Like I have the
Yep.
window work sales team and everything. You just see it borne out over and over again. When the goal is vague, everything is vague. When the goal is clear, every
Yeah.
action is clear. It's as
Right.
simple as that.
It
You know.
is. Right. And I'm extremely passionate. I'm creating, I'm not sure if it's going to be a course. I don't know what it is on KPIs, key performance indicators for
Ah,
designers, because not many firms or firm owners I know do that. And
yes.
everything lands on us, the owner of the firm. But if you hold the people right in your circle accountable, I mean, we're all there to do a job and we have the same goal in mind. And that's something that's for another day.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I know you know how to do it, and I know that you
yeah,
do it, but what I'm hearing is you're developing it on scale so that others can follow the model. So
exactly.
when you've got that, you'll come on back and share it with us.
I'm working on it. I know. And it's funny, when I talk about like taking these risks. And a little story that happened to me when I finally got through okay, I don't have the scarcity mindset thing anymore. And the firm's clicking along and we've got extra money. And I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? And I'm like, okay, people have been asking me for years about my coaching and how I run this and, systems and processes and profits. And I just give all the answers. So it was during the pandemic. And I said, I'm going for this. I am going to start. And you and I were working together.
Yep,
You and I were
yep.
working together. And I said, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to just also start a coaching platform. But what happened, and this is something that I work with like one-on-one with designers, what happened is I didn't like lay the foundation first. So I went in, did I have the team to help me pull this thing off and to start it? No.
Yeah.
Did I have the money? I kind of had the money. I invested like $100,000 in it. Did I have the time? I did have the time. But because one of those was missing, the education about how to do an online business and not having and investing in the proper team, this leads to like making mistakes. And I feel like I see this with a lot of designers too.
Yes.
There's 3 mistakes that you can make. Number one, I can the whole thing. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm going to coach privately, which led me to self-doubt. So I feel like when designers are ready to take that leap, and whether it's a new product line, or they want to do Airbnb short-term rentals, or they want to venture into some coursework or coaching like me, when it doesn't work out the way that they wanted to, that self-doubt comes back. Oh, I'm never going to try that again. I failed, right? Or another mistake that happens is that your side gig starts taken away from your main gig, and then your main gig starts like falling down,
Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
then the third mistake is, it's the price of inaction, right? It affects the growth of your firm if you do nothing.
Right. Right.
And
It's
so
true.
just being aware of the calculated risk, getting your business, your money, your time, and your team in place first in order to take those leaps, I just feel like are 3 of the most important things that all designers need to think about when doing these offshoots.
Yeah. And I don't want to gloss over that, you mentioned that if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
self-doubt, right? Because not everything works. I sit there and Vinny and I, neither one of us
Yeah.
could figure out a failure, right? But by the way, there have been failures. We just don't process them that way, don't
Yes.
dwell in them. But the thing is, that's what it is. It can give you a stomach punch when
Hmm.
something doesn't work. And you have to stand up and kind of, it's funny because I recently interviewed Brig and Jane, matter of
Hmm.
fact, and she was telling me how she literally was talking about this exact same thing. She said, you have to know the difference between you didn't do it right because you
Yes.
didn't do it right, or it it didn't happen, but you can't let it be the identity of that, it was your fault. And so she was
Exactly.
talking about the example of when she first came on the scene as an influencer. It was, I want to say, you just said 2014. So I don't think she said 2014. I can't
Hmm.
remember. But the point was, she goes, that first year, it was gangbusters. She goes, we made a very nice amount of money that first year
Hmm.
because she was ready. She was prepared to be lucky. She had tons of video content, tons of blog content. And then all of a sudden, when the advertisers on Instagram wanted to pay influencers, she was ready. And she said, year two, all of a sudden, it all dried up.
Mm.
She said, because by year two, it became more of a thing. And now you had thousands of influencers who were
Hmm.
happy to do it in exchange for goods being mailed to their home
Hmm.
because it was people starting their businesses,
Yeah. Hmm.
entering the market. And she said, she spent a hot minute going, is it me? Am I not funny anymore? Do I have to dance on camera? Like, what happened? And so it was just that thoughtful, like you mentioned, that thoughtful exploration of, well, was that a bad idea? Was I bad at the idea? Or did the market change? Or blah,
Right.
blah, blah. Like, there's a difference between you doing bad execution, you doing the wrong idea, and you doing something that's all perfectly fine, but then the market doesn't have a need for it anymore, right?
Exactly. And the thing was, I felt like I winged it, and that was not it. And you
Right.
see here, yes, I went through my pity party, but I got back up. I did it again. I
Yeah.
did it the right way, and here
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it didn't. I'm telling you, it just flopped.
Yeah. No,
But
and I
what?
remember that year. I
Yeah.
remember that
Uh
year.
huh.
It was, and the thing was, it was just a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
That's what I kept feeling to, like, it was like, and the thing is, you are brilliant and you are capable and you come from past successes. And so it was like, all right, let's explore this great idea. You know what I mean? And then the next time I see you, I'm like, whoa, okay, wait a
Stop it.
second. Right, right. And the thing was, you needed that process because
Hmm.
you have to prove it to yourself person.
Yeah.
That's who you are. You
Hmm.
are, I've got to prove it to myself person. But I think you did need the iterations so that when you finally hit on it, it's all right. It just feels so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is yet another, I feel like, another mistake that I reframed as an opportunity. I
Yeah.
learned so much by doing that.
Mhm,
So what
mhm.
did I do? I invested in people who had the expertise in online
Yes,
businesses,
which was
right?
different than yours or mine expertise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
hired people who had experience in it.
Yep.
I spent my money on the things I knew would move the needle. I
Yeah.
had my design firm clicking like crazy to where I had the time and the space to go dedicate to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And so the second go around, I think I did a pretty good job. But the first one, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
why these
Yeah.
calculated risk,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you got to know how to take it.
But you stuck to your passion. You
Yeah.
had a vision and you're
Mhm.
committed to teaching other
I am.
designers so that they can take the shortcut. They don't have to go every single stop along the way that you went,
Yeah.
and that they can learn from you and from the peers that you provide in the group, because
Yeah.
peer learning is so good too. I mean, just
It
hearing
is.
somebody else's,
Yeah.
mistake or aha or, experience, it's just like, oh yeah, like,
And
and
it's
even
just, yeah.
sometimes if it's just to say, oh, I did that too. And I like was on the floor for 3 days. Okay. You did it too.
It's that camaraderie. Yes, I agree. It
Yeah.
is peer learning, and it's yeah, like you said, being in the same space with the same challenges, but you're
Yeah.
always getting nuggets from it.
So, this is I love that you finally came up with it. That's the thing, and I love that you follow your passion on it. It occurs to me, and I've mentioned it throughout the conversation. You invested in yourself. You found people that were doing things that you aspire to do. You have set up the glossary of business resources for interior designers for exactly this reason. And it occurs to me that obviously you've created a space for this risk assessment that we each need to do, a space for it to happen. I mean,
Right.
am I crazy or am I right? Right?
Yes, you are right. You are right. What's interesting about the community, the Gloss is a free platform for any designer. Yes, we house it over on Facebook, so join us over there on the Gloss, and follow us on Instagram at Join the Gloss.
Okay.
But what it is, again, it's free training, it's peer support, it's support through me, and it's growing and growing. And then what I ended up doing, this is how it all happened. I created a flagship program. Because I'm still a practicing designer, I created a curriculum. And that is through, I teach the curriculum and my day-to-day happenings within my own firm through a year-long program. It's called The Confidential. We make now we're meeting 4 times a month. I have guest experts. There's 24 master classes. But what I have found, and the designers who are renewing in their program, it is the sessions, the live sessions that I'm giving, my expertise, but along with the other members. So that has been highly successful as far as that program goes. But then I got more feedback, and this is, with anybody. The more market research and feedback and testimonials and questions you can ask, this is go back to your clients too. You're only bettering yourself. So I had a lot of comments. Well, I didn't want to join the confidential because maybe I'm inching to $1 million and I need higher level discussion and I want more on one-on-one support. Well, that's not what the confidential is, right?
Wow.
In the confidential, you're at about 300 in revenue. Yes, you want to get to $1 million. And let me tell you, one good idea can be worth $250,000.
Like how to buy wholesale for profit, let's just say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I talked about that today too in training. But I thought, okay, because that's what I did. Like I created this whole thing based on my path. And what happened was, since I put myself in the room with much smarter people than myself, I was able to elevate, to get to the next level. And by doing that, I had to take the money objection away, right? The head trash. I had to put myself in a different identity, right? A self-identity of power and opportunity to really take that higher level of investment and put myself in that room. And when I talk about what happens in that container, it's an elite mentorship where now there's daily support from me if you would like it. It's hand-holding through whatever that is. Maybe that's another income stream. Maybe that's a platform. Maybe that's just getting your margins right, knowing your numbers. It's a peer group with higher level designers. And what I love about it is that asynchronous communication where, we use Voxer all the time, but maybe they want to know a certain situation at that point and how I handled it. And I'm very excited about it. There's been a lot of interest. We're rolling it out probably in about 8 weeks. So we're very excited. And it's called, I didn't even tell you guys what it was called. It's the 7-Figure Speakeasy Mastermind. Because
Of
you
course
guys
it
know,
is.
that $1 billion ideas were formulated on a bar cocktail napkin. So, I think about it, I'm like, we're telling secrets. We're having a martini, right? It's a container. And then there's a big offsite retreat happening too.
Oh.
So again, it's higher level discussion to move the needle for you to take those risks, right? And just obtain the reward.
So recording date and air date are two different things. So
Yeah.
when do you think you're going to be launching this in real, like, I don't need an exact date, but just so that we don't say 8 weeks and somebody listens to it and it's really 2
Yes,
years from now.
yes. Any interest, they can contact me now for interest. But I'm thinking, we have February, March, April. I'm gonna say in May.
Okay. Okay. So we'll
Yes,
be up
May of
on air well long
2024.
before that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And are you limiting attendance when you started to talk about that there is a offsite retreat? I'm assuming
Mhm.
is that accumulation of after a year of working together? Like, give me a little bit more information about that.
There is. So with the attendance in the 7-Figure Speakeasy Mastermind, they also are receiving the entire confidential program, the entire curriculum, the templates, the worksheets, the recordings, the guests, all the trainings. They get that as well.
Mm.
And so, yes, the mastermind will not be, it will 20 is what I'm thinking in this.
Okay.
And yep. And then we would, again, planning an offsite location. Again, you guys, if you knew how much I invest in other coaches, I have a coach at all times for different things. But what happens and LuAnn knows this, LuAnn Live, at those in-person retreats is really gold.
Yes.
You make lifelong friends there.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's the
excited
truth.
about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's really true. And what happens is that you make the connection to the person that you've been investing in. So the designer that's been investing in you, when you spend time all year long like that, and then you spend time in person together, that really
Right.
deepens that connection. And then of course with each other too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, do you ever picture a time when we're not going to be friends? Like, it's
I
just
know.
no. I mean,
I
like,
know.
once you
No,
do that kind of
I
deep
know.
work with somebody together, and then your brains are both like squirrels looking for shiny objects. Like, how about that idea? How about that idea? And then you just keep doing stuff together.
I know. We need to be like in a cage. Like, settle down, settle down. I know.
But
It's
that's
fun.
the thing, right? It's like that is the other intangible deliverable. You're getting
Yes.
the when someone comes to you and works in your 7-Figure mastermind, your speakeasy mastermind, they're getting the actual instruction. They're getting the
Mm-hmm.
the daily support and all of the things, but they're getting that access and connection to you and who you
Yes.
have access and connection to. And
Absolutely.
that really, it opens opportunities.
It does. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
And again, it's thinking about risk in a different way. I just engaged in another mentorship program. I don't know the results at the end. I have no
Right.
idea. You go into it blind, but I feel like there is something in me, again, made for more. There's something missing, and it's identifying that missing part will allow you to move forward in a faith of the unknown.
Right.
And if I wouldn't have done that the last 10 years, again, that would be one more mistake.
I mean,
Oh,
that would have been the biggest mistake,
yeah, agreed.
right? You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Because,
mhm,
and I love that you just mentioned that you just invested again in something,
mhm.
because the simple fact is that, I mean, at this point, you've learned so much about yourself, about how to be a CEO, about how to run a design firm, how to run an online coaching firm. And the higher you go in this world, as far as your business acumen, the more expensive the coaching and the masterminds
Mhm,
become. It's a simple fact, right?
mhm.
Because the entry level stuff you don't need anymore.
Right.
And so what's funny is on one hand, it almost seems like an oxymoron. It's like, I've got this whole body of evidence and experience of my skill set and business acumen, but yet now I'm investing 50, 60, 70, 80K in myself as a business owner per year on one event. But the fact is that one idea at that level can 3 or 4 times that investment. It can
Right.
totally bang, or save you that in losses because you were completely prepared to do something that now you just were exposed to an idea that is way better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
I
that's,
just,
if your problem right now, if you want to go from 200 to 1.2, that's $1 million problem. If you wait a year to do it, then that's a $2 million problem, right? It's like, oh no, and again, we all think about things differently, but again, reframing that risk as an opportunity, honestly, it's almost like it's just an open door.
Yeah. And I think the secret is, if I was going to say there's a secret remaining in the industry, because I don't think there's a secret about pricing and fees and all that
Yeah.
anymore. I think, and I don't want it to be a secret, but I think the secret is that when you see other people who are successful, you think they figured it out themselves. I think that's what, right? And all of us that invest in ourselves and our business, we know darn well that we're not doing it alone, right?
True.
I don't want to do it alone. I don't want to,
No.
like when I invest in Amber de la Garza or my cousin Eileen or Jessica Harling, it's simply because I do not, or Rachel Bozick, I simply do not want to figure this out. I am moving too fast. I have too many other things that I can do. I know my lane. Please come in here and
Yep.
expert me over here.
It's your blind spot, right?
Yeah,
It's your blind
yeah,
spot. You don't know what you don't know, yet there's this yearn to be on the other side of it. I am the same way. I
yeah,
am the
yeah,
exact same
yeah.
way. And that's why I do have coaches, because they see things that I don't, or can take a spin and help me figure out where I am and how to improve.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, in order to find out, they go to jointhegloss.com / speakeasy. That's to learn about this high level mastermind program. But they can just join the Gloss on Facebook at free. Am I right about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
On Facebook, it's the Gloss for Interior Designers. It's a private group. You just have to put in some input. It's funny. I asked revenue numbers, and so I just want to know if you're improving. So don't
Yeah.
skip that question.
Yeah.
And then obviously on Instagram at Join the Gloss, we have a lot of fun there too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, you are certainly a rock star, and anybody that's in the Gloss and now eventually the 7-figure mastermind, speakeasy mastermind is just, going to be in good hands. And I know that. So thank you
No,
so much.
you are welcome. I'm so happy to give back. I think so much about this industry, and I'm so proud of all the designers and all the mentors like just trying to up level
Yeah,
what we
no, we're
do.
doing it together. We're doing it
Yes.
together, my friend. Oh, thank you so much, Trace, for being here.
You're welcome, LuAnn. I'll see you soon.
I love Traci's risk framework. It's clear, concise, and it taps into the root of what I have seen hold many business owners back over the years. Often we find ourselves not making the right kind of money we want, or we're not achieving the next level of growth. And we just sit there and think, oh, I just need to get another project. I just need to raise my rates. I just need to do X, Y, Z. But the thing is, if what's really holding us back is a limiting mindset belief, it doesn't matter what we fix. It doesn't matter how many processes we put into place. It doesn't matter, because if something holding you back now is rooted in a mindset, then it's going to hold you back today, next year, and 10 years, and 20 years from now, regardless of what fixes you put into place to address it. Traci understands that firsthand, and you can tell how deeply she believes in what she's teaching. This isn't theory for her. It's lived, real, proven experience. And it's what she's rolled into her framework as well as into her coaching programs, this lived, proven experience, right? I want to highlight Traci's concept of the 3 things that need to be in place in order to take a calculated risk. She says you have to have the time, you have to have the money, and you have to have the right people. She shared that story of when she was launching her coaching platform the first time. She had so many of the things in place, but when it was not quite going the way she wanted, then she figured out she didn't have the third thing in place, the right people. Okay. And it's so true. So much of business success comes down to hiring the right people. It's something that I've seen play out time and time again with the people that I coach in my own businesses, okay? And I will tell you, it's not always easy getting the right people. I've hired the wrong people, or I've tried to put the wrong responsibilities in the wrong person's hands, or the right person's hands and the wrong responsibilities, right? I've tried to hire people like me when I actually needed data entry people. Could you imagine? No, right? So the thing is that you got to plow through. And Traci and I talk quite a lot about this concept of building the right team and how to make sure you're hiring the right people in a recent Overheard episode. Traci joined me with Anastasia and Eileen and Jennifer. And if you have not listened to that Overheard episode, this is you having a seat at the table with a group of experienced business owners. Traci shines in this show. You should definitely check it out. The leadership skills that she brings to Traci Connell Interiors are the same leadership skills she brings to her coaching. We'll put a link for that in the show notes. Now, if you are out and about and busy listening to this and you're already thinking, wait, what was the R again? What was the I? What was the S? What was the K? Don't worry. I have put this into a goodie for you so that you can download the framework and have it in front of you easily. Just head over to LuAnnNigara.com/goodies. If you're already on the goodies list, then you just log into your dashboard on my website and it's there for you. So if you want to take your business to the next level with the guidance of a proven leader and a profitable business owner, what better way to start than with one of Traci's programs? At the very least, start at the gloss. Head over to the Facebook page and join it now. That's free. And then look into if the investment is right for you for the confidential or the 7-figure speakeasy mastermind at jointhegloss.com. All right, so you can learn more at jointhegloss.com, and we will also have that in the show notes. Thank you, Traci, so much. As always, I love talking with you. You're such a #smart lady. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.